Hey everybody, Connor here today at etrailer.com. We're going to be going over and showing you how to install the Curt InBed wiring harness for fifth wheel and gooseneck trailers here on our 2017 Ford F-350. So our InBed wiring harness here is going to be an excellent option if we're towing a fifth wheel or gooseneck trailer. Now sometimes you can use the trailer connector at the bumper, but sometimes you can't because your electrical cord isn't long enough and it'll bind in turns, causing damage to both the trailer and possibly the vehicle. So this is where our InBed wiring harness is going to come into play. This is what it looks like. As you can see here, we have a lid that also helps secure the trailer connector as well as keeping out any dirt and debris. It's going to install inside on a flat surface in the truck bed here. We're going to need to drill a couple holes, and this kit in particular is going to be designed exactly for these aluminum truck beds here on this F-350. It doesn't use any actual metal that secures to the truck bed. These screws here attach to some nutserts that come around the backside and help hold it into place nice and snug without giving you any worry of any galvanic corrosion issues. So the 7-pole, just like the 7-pole at our bumper here, it's going to provide us with all the basic trailer lighting features as well as the additional circuits such as those for reverse lights, a battery charge line, and obviously the electric trailer brake output. So in regards to installation, as we mentioned, we do have to drill a few holes here, which are actually going to be covered by the connector once installed. But we actually don't have to do any splicing into our vehicle's wiring. It is going to be plug and play in that regard. So now that we've gone over some of the benefits and features, let's go ahead and jump into the installation so we can show you how it's done. So the first step of installation here, we need to find a good place to mount the trailer connector in our truck bed. Now, preferably on one of the two bed sides here, usually the driver's side is best. That's usually where the factory plug will be located, if equipped. But about in this area here, you can see we sort of outlined it here with the square. That's really going to be the perfect location for this. Before we start drilling, we need to go ahead and look up underneath so we can check the back side of this area to make sure we're not drilling into any wires or anything. So once we've checked that there's nothing behind this panel here, we're going to take a 2 1/8 inch hole saw as the instructions specify. We're going to go ahead and drill this hole out. So now I'm going to be using what's known as a burr bit. If you have any sandpaper or a file really, we just need to go ahead and clean the inside of this hole here to get rid of any sharp edges. And now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take a paint marker here. I'm going to make sure I coat all of that bare metal so we don't have to worry about any rust issues down the road. So now the next thing we're going to do is, we're going to take our trailer connector here. We're going to stick it in the hole we just made. We're going to center it the best that we can. And then I'm actually going to use the self-tapping screws that come with our kit here. We're just going to use this to attach it for a mock-up. We'll go ahead and use these in all 4 corners. So now that we have all of our holes drilled, now normally we would just use the self-tappers to secure the trailer connector to the bed here, but since it's an aluminum bed and these two dissimilar metals have a high chance of corroding, we're going to have some additional nutsert fasteners we can use that come in our kit here. So I was going to simply use these for our pilot hole. We'll go ahead and remove them now. Now we'll go ahead and enlarge our 4 holes here to the final size of 3/8 of an inch. So now we'll take our little nutserts here. We'll go ahead and place them into the holes that we just drilled. So it is a pretty tight fit, but if you just twist them a little bit, you should get them to go in there. So we went underneath here. We fed one end of our wiring harness up through here, which connects to the back of our trailer connector. The other end is going to have the 2 T connectors on it. We'll be able to use that to distinguish it from this end. But now we're going to go ahead and just connect our 2 connectors here. You should hear it lock in place when it's connected. And we can go ahead and set the trailer connector into position. We can secure it to our nutsert there using our 4 screws. So we want to make sure when we're tightening our screws here into our nutserts that we don't over tighten them We just really want to do it by feel until they feel nice and snug there without too much tension. We obviously don't want it falling out either, so you could just give a nice little tug here on the trailer connector to make sure it's secure. So now we can go ahead and tee in the back side of our harness here, which is going to plug in directly behind the bumper 7-way plug we have. Now it's going to be kind of hard to see this, but it's basically going to be located straight back from the trailer hitch here, directly in front of our spare tire. We'll try to point that out for you now. But here we can see the factory plug. There's going to be a tab we have to depress here on the top left-hand side, depending on which way you're looking at it. Once we depress that, we should be able to remove it completely. We can bring it down to here. Our factory plug to our aftermarket 7-way here. Before we do so though, we're going to take some dielectric grease. We're going to coat the pins down to make sure we don't have any lighting issues caused by corrosion. So what we're just doing there is we need to cross over the top of the frame rail here because we have to make our way back to the trailer connector that we just showed you. So we don't want to come under the frame here, under the bumper. So there's a nice little access hole at the top there that we can feed our wire through. And if we come in on the inside here, you'll be able to see the other side of that hole we use to fish down our harness. Now we can go ahead and attach the factory harness to our aftermarket harness. We should hear it click when it locks in place. Now we'll take the other end here and plug this into the back of the factory 7-way. So now the final step is we're going to go ahead and take our excess harness here. We have a little bit of slack. We're just going to zip tie it to some existing wiring up here near the spare tire. So now we're going to hook up to our test box here. We'll go ahead and test out all our signals to make sure everything's working. We already have our running lights on. Let's turn our left turn signal on, our right turn signal, and then our brakes. And that'll do it for our look and installation of the Curt InBed trailer wiring harness for fifth wheel and gooseneck trailers on our 2017 Ford F-350.